Time now for Homeschooled as we welcome in Marc Malusis and Sal Licata. And fellas, it certainly wasn't pretty, but the Knicks will take it. The Knicks starters, other than Mitchell Robinson, 16 of 55 from the field. Sal, what would the Knicks have done tonight without Robinson's performance?
Oh, they needed him, around the boards, aiming to clean up the mess that was the Knicks shooting. Look, here's the bottom line. The Knicks still sloppy against a team that had half their team out. And I know the Knicks are still banged up with injury, but Minnesota's not that good. And the Knicks did not play a great game. Even with free throw shooting, the Knicks were awful. So they needed Mitchell Robinson. And I like him as a center. A good defensive guy, supposed to be the rim protector there, and obviously can clean up. I do ultimately think for this team to be successful long term, they need more of a center who could stretch the floor and knock down the three. So Robinson has been impressive, started to look like he's in better shape, cleaning up the boards, as we said, can finish around the rim. Ultimately, though, I feel like that style is kind of antiquated, and the Knicks, if they want to become a better offensive ball club, because they're not very good defensively, they need a center to stretch the floor.
Moose, not a great night overall for RJ Barrett, but what did he show you by coming to life in the fourth, scoring all 8 of his points in that quarter?
Well, I mean, at times he shows you those flashes, but I mean, you look at it was against the Minnesota team that flashed the night before against Boston, and, you weren't going to get back-to-back performances by basically the B squad of the Minnesota Timberwolves without Anthony Edwards, no Karl Anthony Towns, no D'Angelo Russell. I mean, I think we got to put this victory in the proper perspective. I mean, for Barrett and company, and he needed and gave you what you needed at that point in time. But overall, when you look at what this Knicks team is, they're still trying to find themselves, and they've not been particularly good. For Barrett, you need more of that. That was a nice stretch. You need him to get even better if this Knicks team is going to go out there and substantiate themselves as a playoff team this season.
No doubt the tapes of this game are not headed to Springfield. All right, 4 more games now against teams with losing records. So, Sal, what's going to be the key for the Knicks to take advantage of this schedule and go on a run?
I think Moose touched on it. I mean, we talked about it the last couple of weeks, finding an identity. I still watch this team. Now, I like some of the things that you're seeing with Quentin Grimes developing as a player. Randall being more aggressive. He still needs to shoot the three the way that he was shooting it a year ago. So there are some positive signs. They just need to put it together and pick a direction and go with it. RJ Barrett, is he going to continue to develop and become a consistent player? Are they going to play more defense? Do they want to open it up more offensively? So what are the Knicks? Right now, they're a team that's been lucky to take advantage of some bad basketball teams or teams that are ravaged even worse than they are as far as the COVID situation goes with Atlanta and then Minnesota. What is the Knicks? Forget about their schedule, who they're playing, the opponents. What are they as a team? I think they need to develop an identity more than just their win-loss record over these next 13 games or so.
Yeah, I think it begins. Listen, you got to beat up on the bad teams. Minnesota was a bad team. That's a victory you got to go out there and get, right? You want to look at big picture, what ultimately they're going to need, what the first step is going to be besides developing, as Sal has mentioned, the identity is they need Julius Randle to be the player he was a year ago. And he's taken a step back. And that's a problem for this Knicks team overall because everything went through Randle. He was their go-to guy. He was a guy that they leaned on night in and night out. Maybe last year got into his head. Maybe the playoff performance against the Atlanta Hawks has gotten into his head. We've talked about it now for quite some time, waiting for Julius Randle to kind of wake up. I mean, you're looking at a performance against Minnesota where Randle ended up with 13 points. He was 5 of 20 from the field against a Timberwolves team that really had nobody on the court that was near the talent level that he is. So you need Randle to get back to being the player that he was a year ago. That's really step one. If he is able to get there, then obviously the pieces around him need to fall into place. But that's got to be step one for this Knicks team.